Unit 2, Exploring Fiction and Drama, Test Corrections. Question number 1. What is the main idea of paragraph 7? If you noticed, I've circled main idea because that's what we're looking for, and I underlined paragraph 7 because that's where we need to be looking. Let's look at the answer choices. Is it A, Lance's dad listens politely to the story of the bird incident? Is it B, Lance's mom thinks a bird came down the chimney? Is it C, Miss Taggart has her own weird experience with something flying in her bedroom? Or is it D, Lance's dad does not believe anything is flying around in the house? Let's look at paragraph 7. We're looking for the main idea. Well, maybe it flew out the door when you're bringing in groceries, his dad responded. Lance shook his head and muttered to himself. He knew that he had not opened the door to bring in groceries after the bird incident. It was annoying to realize that neither of his parents believed him. It seemed he was wasting his breath. It seemed like he was wasting his breath. The correct answer is D. Lance's dad does not believe anything is flying around in the house. And that is why Lance felt he was wasting his breath. Number 2. Which of the following is the best summary of this story? It's capitalized for a reason, so we're just going to go ahead and circle it. And we're looking also for summary. So the best summary of this story. Letter F. A family calls for animal control only to learn that they do not deal with bats. They then call an exterminator and are surprised by the equipment he uses. They learn the secrets of trapping a bat in their home. Is it G? A mom finally believes that her son saw a bird in the house. She first felt it when she was falling asleep. She turned on the light and didn't see anything. Her husband came to look and didn't believe her. Then they turn off the lights and the dad feels the bird fly by. Or is it H? After a boy sees a bird in his house, the family calls an exterminator who realizes that bats can find some very strange hiding places. After searching the bedroom and the closet, he removes pictures from the wall. The bat is discovered hanging from a wire on the back of a picture. It is released into the woods. Or is it J? When a boy sees a bird in his house, no one believes him. It takes both of his parents having a scary experience to convince them that a bat, not a bird, has entered their home. An exterminator gets rid of it for them. When we're thinking about summary of a story, maybe a best one, especially a best one, we need to think about BME, which is beginning, middle, and end. Judging by the story, we can tell now that the best answer choice is J. That is because when a boy sees a bird in his house, no one believes him. We're going to go ahead and think that that is going to be in paragraph 7. Well, maybe it flew out the door when you're bringing in groceries. Lance shook his head, muttered to himself. He knew that he had not opened the door to bring in groceries after the bird incident. It was annoying to realize that neither of his parents believed him. So this here is B. It takes both of his parents having a scary experience to convince them that a bat, not a bird, has entered their home. So let's see if we can find that somewhere, because I believe that's going to be M, which is the middle. And we're going to look at paragraph 13 for that one. A few minutes after the Taggarts had turned off the light to go to sleep, it happened again. Both of them heard a rustling and a flapping as something swooped over their bed. Mr. Taggart yelped and quickly sat upright as he reached to turn on the bedside lamp. This time, both of them actually saw it. As the dark shape zoomed by, they realized it wasn't a bird after all, it was a bat, and it was flying around their room. Both adults jumped up and ran for the door, slamming it behind them. So that takes care of our middle. It says it takes both of his parents having a scary experience to convince them that a bat, not a bird, has entered their home. This here at the end will be our end, which is E. An exterminator gets rid of it for them. We will find that information in paragraphs 21, 22, and 23. We have later that morning an exterminator arrived, and then they talk about how it possibly got trapped there. Then we say Lance was amazed when he saw the equipment that a professional bat exterminator uses, and how he goes into the house with the equipment that he has. 23. Well, I got it. It took a few minutes, but I finally located it. When I couldn't find it anywhere you had looked, I started taking pictures off the wall. Sure enough, the bat was hanging upside down from the wire behind the picture over the dresser. Number 3. Which sentence from the story shows that Mr. Taggart is cautious about dealing with the bat? We have answer choice A. This is getting ridiculous, said Mr. Taggart. 1 minute it's here and then it's gone. B. Well, I don't know where it's hiding, said Mr. Taggart. C. What are we going to do now, Dad? Can I help catch it? Lance asked. Or is it D? No, I think we had better get some expert help. Bats can carry rabies, so I don't want to fool around with it. The answer is D. No, I think we'd better get some expert help. Bats can carry rabies, so I don't want to fool around with it. We need to remember that in this question we were talking about why his dad is cautious about dealing with the bat. We go to paragraph 20 is where we find that sentence. No, I think we had better get some expert help. Bats can carry rabies, so I don't want to fool around with it. He got the phone book to look up the number for animal control. When he called them, he was told that bats were not part of the regular animal service, and they suggested he call an exterminator. Question number 4. Based on Lance's father's advice in paragraphs 4 through 7, the reader can infer that his father, well, let's look at this question. Based on Lance's father's advice, so we're looking for Lance's father's advice. I'm going to go ahead and underline it a couple times, advice. In paragraphs 4 through 7, that's where we need to look at. I'm going to go ahead and circle it. It's already aligned over here. That we can infer. We need to see what we can infer. The reader can infer that his father, is it F, is concerned that the bird may still be inside the house? Is it G, is worried about the diseases birds carry? Is it H, is sure the bird is no longer in the house? Is it J, is confident that they can catch the bird? The correct answer is H. The reason why is we go to paragraph 4. Paragraphs 4 through 7. That night at dinner, Lance told his dad what had happened. His dad listened politely, but not in a vague way that told Lance that his father seemed to think he was imagining things. If we had a bird in the house, we'd know it, he calmly explained. But Dad, I'm telling you, it flew right over me, Lance answered. Well, maybe it flew out the door when you were bringing in groceries, his dad responded. Lance shook his head and muttered to himself. He knew that he had not opened the door to bring in groceries after the bird incident. It was annoying to realize that neither of his parents believed him. It seemed he was wasting his breath. So it just shows you that his dad didn't really believe him, and that thought the bird is surely no longer in the house. So it's H. Number 5. Read the following sentence from paragraph 7. I know that we have the sentence here already, but just to keep strategies together, paragraph 7 is where I know this is going to come from, so that way in case I need to look at any context clues, I know where to go. He knew that he had not opened the door to bring in groceries after the bird incident. This sentence helps illustrate Lance's A. stubbornness, B. frustration, C. cleverness, or D. excitement. Well, let's look at paragraph 7. Just to kind of get some backstory on that sentence. Well, maybe it flew out the door when you were bringing in groceries, his dad responded. Lance shook his head and muttered to himself. He knew that he had not opened the door to bring in groceries after the bird incident. It was annoying to realize that neither of his parents believed him. It seemed he was wasting his breath. He felt like he was wasting his breath. He knew that his parents weren't believing him. He was shaking his head and muttering to himself. That means he was frustrated. B. He was frustrated because they didn't believe him. Number 6. In paragraphs 11 and 12, what does the conversation between the couple reveal about Miss Taggart? Well, we're looking in paragraphs 11 and 12. What does the conversation between the couple, so we need to look at the conversation between them, between the mom and dad, reveal about who? Miss Taggart. We're going to look at those paragraphs. Are we going to pick F, she was having bad dreams? G, she was really tired and needed sleep? H, she thought she was probably imagining things? Or J, she believed Lance was right about the bird? Well, in paragraph 11, I bet this is the bird that Lance saw, she told herself. So we see that there. Number 12, look, you must have just been dreaming. Lance got you thinking about birds with that tail of his, Mr. Taggart said. Let's just go to bed and forget all this nonsense. Now, Miss Taggart knew how Lance must have felt earlier. She was sure she had seen or at least heard a bird, but with no evidence, it was hard to convince her husband. She sighed and went back to bed. The correct answer is J. She believed Lance was right about the bird. Question number 7. The word despised in paragraph 15 means, I'm going to circle paragraph 15. A, hated, B, respected, C, extinct, or D, hidden. Well, we're going to go to paragraph 7. And we're going to find the word despised. Oh, sorry, paragraph 15. You'll need a hat to protect your head, Mr. Taggart told her, looking around for something to put on. Miss Taggart spotted the toy chest and grabbed her daughter's play fireman hat. The Taggarts looked pretty silly in their outfits, but after all, they were going to battle a bat. They marched back upstairs and cautiously opened the bedroom door once again, letting their eyes dart around the room to locate the despised creature. Once again, however, nothing was to be seen. If you still don't know what despise means, you can always go to the dictionary. I've already found it for you. It says despise. It's a verb. It says to regard with great dislike. For example, I despise big black spiders. We'll know that a verb is also despised. Well, we're not talking about spiders here, we're talking about a bat. So, we're going to go ahead and say that number 7 is A. It's hated. Question number 8. What can the reader conclude about Mr. and Miss Taggart slamming the door in paragraph 13? Well, let's see here. What can the reader conclude about Mr. and Miss Taggart slamming the door in paragraph 13? We need to circle paragraph 13. What can the reader conclude about them? Okay, slamming the door. Is it F, they wanted to be loud to alert their children of the intruder? Is it G, they were trying to trap the bat in the bedroom? Is it H, they were mad that there was a bat in the house? Or is it J, they were in a rush to find the bat? We need to look at paragraph 13. It says, a few minutes after the Taggarts had turned off the light to go to sleep, it happened again. Both of them heard a rustling and flapping as something swooped over their bed. Mr. Taggart yelped and quickly sat up as he reached to turn on the bedside lamp. This time both of them actually saw it. As a dark shape zoomed by, they realized it wasn't a bird at all. It was a bat, and it was flying around their room. Both adults jumped up and ran for the door, slamming it behind them. Then we see it says, Mr. Taggart looked rather pale and turned to his wife. Okay, you and Lance were right. Now we've got to figure out how to get it out of here. So, the correct answer for number 8 is G. They were trying to trap the bat in the bedroom. That way they could later extract it or get it out of the house. Number 9. What is a central message that is portrayed in the selection? Looking for central message that is portrayed, or portrayed also means like shown in the selection or reflected in the selection. The correct answer is B. Trust those you love. Had Mr. Taggart trusted his wife and Lance, this problem probably would have gotten solved a lot sooner. But he didn't believe them. And if you remember earlier, they were talking about how it takes a lot of evidence in order to convince him. Alright, question number 10. In paragraph 21, the word nocturnal means, well, in paragraph 21, we're going to circle it. The word nocturnal. And let's see. Is it F of the earth, G of water, H of the night, or J of the air? Looking in paragraph 21. Each time the room was dark, the bat would begin to fly around. But when the light was on, it would hide. Bats are, there we go, nocturnal animals, he explained. But he told the family he would take care of it. Nocturnal. Each time the room was dark, the bat would begin to fly around. But when the light was turned on, it would hide. In case you're also wondering what it says in the dictionary about nocturnal, you can look here. It says nocturnal. It's an adjective of or happening at night. Second definition, active at night. Owls are nocturnal birds. So the answer to question number 10 is H, of the night. Nocturnal means of the night. Question 11. Paragraphs 10 through 12 contribute to the rising action of the story by, we're looking at paragraphs 10 through 12 and how they contribute to the rising action of the story. We need to think about what's building there, rising action. So, we're going to go through number 10 and through 12. Later that night, both kids had gone to bed. Miss Taggart went upstairs to the bedroom to read, leaving Mr. Taggart downstairs watching television. she read for a few minutes before turning off the light to go to sleep. Within about 5 minutes, she heard a strange noise and felt the air move over her head. She quickly sat up in bed and listened intently. There it was again, and this time something actually skimmed the top of her hair. She jumped up quickly and flipped on the light switch. I bet this is the bird that Lance saw, she told herself. However, once the lights were on, she could find nothing in the room. She grabbed her robe to go downstairs to get her husband. She shut the bedroom door behind her. When she told Mr. Taggart what happened, he turned off the TV and immediately went upstairs. He opened the door to the lighted bedroom carefully and took a cautious look inside. He didn't see anything. Miss Taggart was close behind, and they both entered the room and closed the door behind them. No bird was there. Look, you must have just been dreaming. Lance got you thinking about birds with that tale of his, Mr. Taggart said. Let's just go to bed and forget all this nonsense. Now, Miss Taggart knew how Lance must have felt earlier. She was sure he had seen or at least heard a bird, but with no evidence, it was hard to convince her husband. She sighed and went back to bed. Our answer choices are A. Comparing Miss Taggart's experience to Lance's experience. B. Explaining why Mr. Taggart does not believe Miss Taggart. C. Describing Miss Taggart's experience with the unknown flying object. Or D. Telling about Miss Taggart's bedtime routine. The correct answer is C. Describing Miss Taggart's experience with the unknown flying object, otherwise known as the bat. Number 12. The end of the story reveals that Lance. End of the story. We're looking at Lance. And reveals also means shows. Is it F? Is upset his parents never believed that he saw something flying in the house? Is it G? Wishes that he could have caught the bat himself? Is it H? Is worried the bat was hurt when it was caught? Or J? Is excited to use the story of the bat for his school writing assignment? Well, let's go to the end of the story. One second here. At the end of the story, later that morning, Lance was telling his mom about his weekend homework. Hey Mom, I'm supposed to do the rough draft of a Halloween story for Monday. I bet I'll have the best story in the class now. For 12, the correct answer is J. Is excited to use the story of the bat for his school writing assignment. Question 13. The author's use of third-person point of view in this story enables the reader to third-person point of view. Is it A, realize that the thoughts and motivations of Mr. and Miss Taggart and Lance? Is it B, learn only how Lance feels about the bird in the house? C, understand only how the bird has impacted Miss Taggart? Or D, comprehend how the story affects the reader? The answer is A. Realize the thoughts and motivations of Mr. and Miss Taggart and Lance, meaning how they felt and what was motivating them to do the actions that were happening in the story in regards to the bat. This is the end of the corrections.